Go. Okay, we are officially recording. This is Don Wedding, and we are officially starting the winter quarter of 2023, and this is Machine Learning 422. And I'm Don, and I'm your instructor, and you've already met Logan, our TA. So what I want to do is I'll just go through the class real quick. And Logan, I was wondering if you could watch the chat window for me and just look for questions if any of them appear.
Yep, I got you, Don.
You got me? Okay, great. Am I sharing my screen at the moment?
No, we just see everybody's little Zoom box here.
Okay, let's try sharing the screen just a moment. Hey, there we go. Okay, so what I'm going to just do tonight is just go through the class real fast and try to give you an overview of 422. If anybody in the class is afraid of this class, don't be. Okay, it is really, I tried to design it so that it would be very practical, not a lot of theory in this class. I do this for a living, so I build predictive models. I'm a consultant, and when I'm not teaching in my day job. So a lot of the things that I'm teaching you are what I use on a day-to-day basis. So I'm trying to keep this stuff practical, and we have some theory, but I don't crawl into the weeds. The class, this class cannot be all things to all people. Sometimes when I read the reviews at the end of the year, they're like, well, there wasn't enough theory. And if I started to go into the theory, then there wouldn't be enough time for practical stuff. We got 10 weeks, so I tried to keep a healthy balance here. But it's heavily weighted towards what you'll use on a day-to-day basis if you're going to do this for a living. So I guess before we get started, does anybody have any questions? As I'm walking through the class real quick, what I want is for you guys to just interrupt me with any questions at all. And if you don't want to say anything, then put it in the chat window and Logan will interrupt me. But anybody got any questions or thoughts or anything before we get started?
Yeah, I do. This is Mario.
Hey, Mario.
Hey, so I was going through the lectures, and I noticed that you put a note on there about the Zoom. It's really zoomed in for the first lecture, and that you said there was a correction. I don't know if you're going to get to this quite yet, but I was just wondering because I didn't see the corrected video. All I saw
No. I didn't go back and correct them yet. But the first three videos, I was still learning how to use Screencast-O-Matic. So so it doesn't, it's still usable, but it's not. You don't see the entire screen, and it's an annoyance. And I keep promising myself to go back and re-record them, but it takes me, for each one of those videos that you see, even if they're like 15 minutes, they take me like 2 or 3 hours to put together. So I dread doing it, I'm thinking, boy, I can either do that video or prepare my taxes, or clean out the garage. I'm rather do anything but put these videos together. So it is going to be something on. Last quarter, I spent most of the quarter putting, going through and updating the code, because as Python changes, the code stopped working. So I finally got that done. But I guess this is my long-winded way of saying I haven't done it yet. But does that answer your question, Mario?
No, then that kind of gives some context to it. Also, you said if it's just the first three, I'm not worried about it. You could just follow the code, because there was just a problem because your clicker is off a little bit, so it's like 2 or 3 inches off from the circle. So yeah. I was like, what the hell are you clicking on? So if as a class we could just follow the code that you sent, download that, and just follow along with the video. It should work out for the first
exactly.
Three, right? Okay.
It believe it or not, it will. The code is a very good starting point. Does anybody else have any questions or comments before we get started?
And Don, I'm just going to go ahead and second what you were saying there. Having taken this class with you as well, and then seeing how students go through the class over the last year, 2 years, whatever it's been, you'll be very successful in this class if you watch the videos and you read through the code, because Don legitimately makes this so much more intuitive than what a lot of other professors might do in this program or other programs out there, because he's not trying to trick you. But if you follow the code exactly how he has it and then you watch the videos, it'll answer almost 99% of any questions that might come up. And if you do get stumped, don't ever be afraid to email myself, and I can kind of help you get through your code issue, or even Don as well. And like I say, I can't stress enough just how great of a professor Dr. Wedding is here, and how much he doesn't want to cause anybody here any stress with such a difficult topic, which really is 422. It's legitimately the most difficult class in the program, in my opinion. But Don makes it very accessible here, and really just the way it's put together and how you have it designed, Don, is accessible, I think, to all.
Well, that's very kind, Logan. But and one thing is, as you guys start going through the code and stuff, I promise we're going to get started now, is you're going to find out that, and this is going back to what Logan just said, is after a while, you're going to go, well, heck, this code is very similar. You know, it's a good starting off point, and you're going to start learning that you can just use that code as a good starting off point. And there's the temptation will be to not watch the videos. And then a lot of times I'll get students will email me questions, and I'm thinking that was the subject of video number 3, the entire thing, you know, and you get, so do me a favor and do yourself a favor. Please try to watch the videos. I would recommend watching them at high speed because I get long-winded. So if you put it on like 1.5 speed, your life will be less, you know, it'll be less dry, but that's up to you. Anyways, let's get started here. This is the way the class is designed. Okay, now the problem with 422 is that the people are going to come into this class, and there's going to be some of you who have never done this before in your life, okay? And so this is completely new material. And then I got other students in this class who've done a lot of this. They're doing this in their day-to-day job. So, and then I've got everything in between. So it's very difficult. You got to put a class together that is usable for everybody. I don't want this class to be a waste, and I don't want people to get totally lost. So here's the way the class is designed. If you do nothing more than just the stuff I tell you to do, you'll get an A, okay? No problem. However, if that's not what you want to get out of this class, what you want to get out of this class, getting an A in this class is not the issue. You want to get out of this class getting as much as you possibly can out of this class. So I've got all sorts of things, I call them bingo bonus. You can do, you know, for example, the first assignment, I'm like, okay, here, just scrub this data set. If you turn around and scrub it again using R, so that you've now done the same thing twice, and now you know the strengths and weaknesses of both languages, or something else. Maybe you did something with Amazon Web Service. Whatever you do, you can always just add some more stuff for your own edification and amusement. Just go and do this, and I'll give you bonus points. And then I have assignments that are voluntary assignments. So for example, if you scroll down a little bit, these are unit 99 here. These are all things that you don't have to do, you know, data transformation, principal component analysis, and k-means clustering. They're very valuable to know, but if you don't know those, you'll still get a by in your day-to-day life as a data scientist. But if you can crank through this stuff in your sleep, do this stuff, make it your goal to do every single assignment available, and also make sure that you also try to do it in multiple languages. Even if you can't get it working, like let's say you try something in R and it's not quite there, give it to me anyway. Post it in there and say, Don, I only got this partially working. I'll give you some points for trying that. You know, I mean, if you have to put in a legitimate effort, but the trick of this class is, you know, there's 1,000 points in this class, and sometimes I have students leave this class with like 1,700 points. You know, and at the same time, I also get students who barely get like, you know, 800 or 700 because they do nothing, or they, you know, if you have to really coast to not do well in this class. So you got to do the bare minimum, to get the grade, but that's not the goal. The goal here is to learn as much as you can. So let's start off real fast with, with the syllabus here. Okay, here we go. This is the syllabus. This is me here, Don Wedding. Feel free. Some people call me Professor Wedding. That's fine. But if you want to call me Don, I prefer that, but whatever you feel comfortable with. But this is me. This is my Northwestern email, and this is my personal email. Please email both of these, because in my day job, I do some consulting work, and many times I'm with customers. I don't always have access to my Northwestern email. If you want to get instant access to me, email me here. Also, this is my home number, and this is my cell phone number. You can call me anytime you want, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. As I say every quarter, I would prefer that you not call me at 3 in the morning on a Sunday. But if you want to do that, if it's important, if it's an emergency, call me. And people go, well, what's an emergency? My answer is always the same. If it's important to you, then it's important to me. I may not answer the phone at 3 in the morning because I might be sound asleep, but if I answer, we're good. So Logan does like getting random calls at 3 in the morning. So feel free to call him and just hang up, I'm just kidding.
Of course, Don. No, I mean, if it's a student, I will do anything. I was in that position at one time as well. And if you get that, urge that you want to get something turned in, or we're up against a deadline, and I know we got folks at different time zones here, and I'll do my best to try to get back to you guys.
Thank you, Logan. And that's another thing too, is Logan has my complete confidence. If you need, well, I need more time to do this or something, if you can't get a hold of me, Logan can say yes. Whatever Logan says goes, okay? So one of us can answer your questions. If you do have questions, I would prefer you post them to a discussion board, because that way I can answer it for everybody. But sometimes you need instantaneous response, and therefore phone calls or emails will also work just fine. But like I said, I prefer, if nothing else, try to post stuff to the discussion boards, because that answers everybody's questions. Let's see. Required text, none. Okay, everything is going to be my lectures, and course notes and videos and what have you. I just don't want you guys to have to buy these books, because Python and machine learning is such a dynamic subject that you're going to buy this and the book is obsolete the next week, and you've just spent $70 for nothing. So that's why I don't have a textbook. Other courses do have textbooks, and so I'm required to put them down as these might be useful. So these are the required texts for other people, but they're not required for this class. Okay. Let's see. Python is the software we will use, but if you use any other software, you can use that also and get bonus points. So if you have access to SAS or SPSS or R or Julia or whatever, if you want to do any or all of the assignment in another language and hand that in also, then you can earn some bonus points. But you have to make it really large when you do your write-up. You have to say, Don, I did this thing in Julia or Ruby. You got to put it in big letters, otherwise I won't see it and you're not going to get your points. So you got to let me know. You can use Jupyter. When you hand in your write-ups, please hand me a PDF. But if you want to use a Jupyter notebook also, you can do that, or you could just hand in a text file. Whatever works for you is fine. Some students use Anaconda, and that's fine. I'm not a fan of Anaconda, and neither is Logan. We both consider it sort of, bloatware. It just fills up your computer full of stuff. But if you want to use it, go for it. I mean, that's up to you. Let's see, any other things?
I would just add up there, Don. I mean, in terms of just, the software that's required for this, I mean, I would also say too, I mean, with the Python language, try not to use anything more current than 3.7 or 3.8. Sometimes students use Python 3.10 right now or 3.11, which are in beta. Doesn't necessarily get supported by Pandas or TensorFlow, or some of the other packages and libraries that are out there do not support the beta version of Python and vice versa. So you have some major dependency issues that come up. So make sure you just use the most current stable version of Python. I wouldn't use a beta version of it out there when you're doing the assignments. Jupyter, you can run that locally from the command prompt. If you install that directly, that's really the best way to go if you want to go that route. There's other things you can use like Azure Data Studio and things like that. I absolutely despise Anaconda. Like Don said, it is bloatware. It loads your computer with a whole bunch of things that you don't need, and they don't do a good job of keeping everything up to date there in the standard environment. So if you can avoid using Anaconda, that might might prevent you some headaches further down the road. But I have shared in some of the prior sessions that we've had here with this class that a tool out there that I personally prefer and I think is great for students, and it works absolutely smooth with TensorFlow when you get to that part of the class, is using Google Colab.
And we're going to talk about that shortly.
Okay.
So we're going to
Sorry, Don.
So table that
Yep.
one, Logan, because we're going to get
Go
to
ahead.
Google Colab. Okay, punchline. Let's move on down. Here's what we're going to do in the course. The first unit, we're just going to just simple exploration of the data. Then we're going to do some tree-based models, simple trees, random forests, and gradient boosting. We'll talk a little bit about the theory and we'll build models. Then we're going to use the same data set and we're going to do regression models so that you can see what's the difference and what's the strength and weaknesses of both of these. Then we'll do some neural networks, and we'll also talk missing value imputation, principal components, and clustering. And let's see. Oh, yeah, this class has 600 points. I'm sorry. So not 1,000 in this one, but let's see. Let's see how we get. Oh, here's the grading scale. The grading scale is 558 points and it's strictly points. Okay. Once you get that many points, you get your A. Okay. If you get 557 points, do not call me up and say, Don, can I just have another point? There are so many bonus points floating around that if you are slacking off and you don't get to the next point, you don't get bumped up. This is what you get. So I recommend doing every bonus opportunity you can. Let's see, any other fun things here? Okay, the other thing is assignments are due in every couple of weeks. So for example, the EDA stuff, unit 1, all that stuff needs to be done by January 15th. So that's in 12 days from now. Then we got the decision tree stuff will all be done by the end of January. Then we start doing the regression. Then we start getting into the neural network stuff. So you have a little time to work and explore. It's not one assignment due every single week. If you did that, it starts to become just very, it becomes more of a grind and less of a learning experience for you. Let's see, any other fun thing? This is basically the syllabus right there. Does anybody have any questions before I quickly walk through the class shell? Nothing? Jacob Kogar, you look like a guy with a question.
No, actually, you answered mine going through your speech there. I was curious about the Unit 99 assignments, whether they were required by the end of the course or if they were extra, but no, that was good info to have. Thank you.
Yeah, the 99 stuff is just, believe it or not, by the end of the quarter, a lot of students will by week 7 or 8 have gotten their A, and then they start scrambling because they're like, oh my gosh, class is almost running out. I want to do the cat dog problem. I want to do this. You start getting really interested in doing some of this stuff. And so that's what I'm trying to do, is get that you get the fever to do this stuff, and you start frantically building as many of these models as you can because you love doing it. Then you know that you've really learned the material. So, so that's what I'm hoping for here. Let's see. Let me think. Unit 0, what is this? This is, okay, Unit 0. This is what we were just talking about, the Google Colab stuff. Logan has, this is, okay, first of all, this is updates to the class. So here are some videos that I put together about the class. So for example, you'll notice that as time has gone by, my video and the code that is posted has some slight differences. And the reason for that is that Python changes, so I have to update that. But I'm not going to go and change the video because the predict command went from predict prob to just predict. I'm not going to update the entire video. So there's going to be some small differences here and there. And then the other thing is, I've had some students say to me that, I had one student who was building, advanced neural networks for a startup company. And this student learned absolutely nothing in the class. And even with all of the challenging stuff I put in, this student was like, I could do this in my sleep, I learned nothing. And I felt very bad about that. So if you are one of those students, and I get 1 or 2 a year, contact me and we'll come up with a project for you. So if this class is not challenging enough for you, then it is up to you to let me know, and I will work with you so you get something out of this class, okay? There's no reason that you could not find value in this class in some way. Logan put together a video here on Google Colabs, and Logan absolutely loves Google Colabs, and I've started messing around with it, and I can see why. It's a very useful way of writing Python, and it's kind of nice because the Python stuff is, your Python installations are always current. Logan put up an 8-minute video here on how to use it. If you use Google Colabs, upload some kind of a screenshot to this bingo bonus site, and I'll give you 10 points. Okay, so if you only get it one time. So if you use it all quarter long, you only get 10 points. You can't keep, doing that. But Logan, in 2 minutes or less, tell these guys why Google Colabs, why they should learn it.
Google Colabs is the way to pass this class with an A by week 7 or 8. That's what it is it's a Jupyter notebook that's hosted in the cloud through the Google server. And it uses their cloud compute tools. So even if you have an older computer, and it's free for students, at least the baseline version, and you sign up for it with your university, your Northwestern University email address. You sign in with that, and you get access to it. So it's colab.google.com. You go in there, and it gives you a Jupyter notebook. You don't have to install any software on the computer. It runs directly in your web browser. I do suggest that you use Google Chrome or you use Firefox. It works great with either one of those. And you just go ahead and you do your scripting. The same type of work you do in Jupyter notebooks, you do it in Google Colab without the need to install packages and things like that. It does have, a base set of packages like NumPy, Pandas. You have TensorFlow. You have, I believe, PyTorch as well, are already pre-installed in the current instance that you log into as the standard base environment, but you can always pip install any additional packages that you want. But really, it's an amazing tool because, again, you're not having to store anything on your own local computer. You don't have to use your own RAM. You don't have to use your own hard drive space. It runs directly off of Google's cloud. So it's a great tool. And I really wish that all students in different sessions and sections would get an opportunity to know about this.
So, and I started working with it after Logan put his video together, and I can say it's worth learning it as one more thing to take away from this class, because you may go into a corporation and then they might start making you either work with Amazon Web Services or Google or whatever. You can learning how to use one of these cloud-based tools is not a bad thing. Mario, you got your hand raised. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, I just had a question for you, for Logan about the collabs. How easy is it to make a PDF to send it to send an assignment to you through the collabs?
Yeah, we do that all the time. You can go ahead, there's a package that you can go ahead and actually install that, does the entire outputs along with the code, kind of like an R Markdown type document. I can go ahead and research what that is, but honestly, the easiest thing to do that we tell students so that way they don't have to worry about installing anything is to just go ahead and go to File, Print, and then just print it to a PDF. And that's the easiest way to turn it in, is honestly just do that. But Don, I think we've talked about that as well.
Yeah.
The same with Jupyter. I can't remember what library that is, but students have used a library to output all their code and all their outputs to a PDF as well.
Mhm. Yeah, well, and if you can't figure that out, contact one of us, and
Yeah.
Python and stuff, stuff changes, and if it doesn't work, one of us will help you. Okay, also notice this here, I got two other bonus things. So one is you get bonus for Code Labs. You get another one for if you find a bug fix in any of my code, because like I said, Python changes. It's not a stable, things change, and suddenly stuff magically stops working. If you fix something, post it here, and I'll give you a bonus point for it. Also, students started posting useful code. Like they'll say, hey, I came up with a really great way of doing stepwise linear regression. Here's some code I wrote, and they post it. If it's good stuff, I'll give you points for that. So just anytime you want to share, it has to be good stuff. But I mean, if you post something and other students like it, you can earn bonus points for that. Also, last quarter, students were saying they would love it if I put something like this for R. So if you want us to do, say, listen, this is how you can do, I don't know, variable selection using R, whatever, then you can post the code here. I mean, don't post your entire assignment, of course, but just code snippets. If it's any good, you can earn points for that. The first unit that we're going to do is simply going to be just data preparation and exploration. And what we have is, if you just click on this first thing, it's lectures. And if you click on this, you can download the data sets, and also I have code. So what I'll do is I give you a lecture. If you click on this, it gives you a link to a lecture, a video that I put together, and then you can actually download the code that I use. So you don't have to frantically take notes. It's there, you can download it and see what I'm doing. Watch the video, see what I'm doing. Also, I have things like, missing value imputation, one-hot encoding, missing value imputation for numeric values. Again, even if you know how to do it, you might want to watch these videos, because I've got some of this stuff is techniques that I've come up with or learned throughout the years. And sometimes what you learn in school versus what they do in the real world is different. I'm trying to err on the side of this being practical. So a lot of the things that I'm showing you are things that are used in corporate America. So so it might be worth watching, even if you know how to do some of this stuff. Let's see, that's the lecture here. I've got some external resources. Every time I find something, I might put it here. If you find something, let me know. I might add it to the list. These are your assignments due January 15th. That's in 2 weeks. There's quizzes. The quizzes are not difficult. If you followed along, it's multiple choice. There's nothing tricky about it. It's usually just concepts. They're not rocket science, but they told me I have to have quizzes. So I put them in there. And if you followed along in some of the videos, you should follow along, not a big deal. The discussion boards, I try to make these things fun, okay? I'm trying not to make this a grind. So my discussion board topics, they said I have to have them, so here they are. I'm trying to make them interesting. Students tend to like these discussion board topics. Then we're going to do decision trees after this, and this is going to be decision trees, gradient boosting, and random forest, because those are all tree-based models, okay? So we'll do those in Unit 2. We're going to use the exact same data set again. We're going to use Unit 3 for that. right, regression. And then we go to, down here, we do neural networks. And this is basic neural networks. So we're going to solve the same problem with neural networks. However, for the really advanced students, we're going to do 2 bonus assignments. One is we've got the classical problem where we've got these digits, these, a person drawing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. And you say, what number did they draw? And we're going to use, convolutional neural networks for that. And then we have another one with pictures of cats and dogs. And again, we will do, you can see, you get this picture goes in there and then you say, this is a picture of a cat and this is a picture of a dog. I have that one written out and I might go looking for it in a minute to show you an example of it. The final exam is very simple. You won't need a calculator or anything. It's again, simple concepts throughout the quarter. Don't sweat this. It's not grueling, but if you didn't watch any of the videos, you'll find it very challenging. If you watched the videos and sort of kept up with it, it should be really straightforward. I'm not a big fan of Panopto and making students video themselves, but it's required. So videotape yourself and that's all you have to do. And let's see, that's about it for the class. I'm going to go looking for the dog cat problem to show you, but while I look for that, let's see if we have any questions or comments.
I have, oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yep. So I've got 3 questions / clarifications. On the discussion boards, do you want, interaction? I mean, some professors want a minimum of 2 thoughtful responses. So that's one question there is how should we be thinking about that? And then I got 2 more questions, but I'll just shut up and listen for a minute.
The first thing is, if you just post some good stuff for yourself. Now, if you start putting lots of thoughtful discussion on somebody else, I sometimes, instead of giving you 15 points, you might get 16 or 17. If you do very little and you just put like 3 sentences, you might, instead of getting 15 points, you might get 3. So give me some good content because, again, the topics are kind of fun anyway. But even if they're not fun, you have to do it because that's what they told me. And I find that doing what the boss tells me keeps me gainfully employed. But that notwithstanding that, if you don't want to do any thoughtful replies, that's fine. That's not required. But if you do it, I usually will reward you for it. But you can't just say, hey, great post, Joe. It's got to put some thought into that. And then I usually give you a few more points. Does that make sense? Oh, he's still there? Uh-oh. Did I lost everybody?
Do you hear me now? Totally helpful.
Oh, there we go. I can hear you now. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, thanks. Okay, question 2. So when we turn in an assignment, you said PDF. So do you want like a also in a separate file, like the Python code as well, or do you want a PDF of the Python code?
Okay, well, here's what I would like is I would like you to give me 2 things. One is some kind of PDF that shows the output of your code. I would like, if you give me copies of the code also, that would be useful. But yeah, give me some code and give me some output. So that's just one thing. And that way I can say, okay, Booga really did the assignment. That just enough that I see that you really did it. Okay. And then what I would also like you to do is a PDF, some kind of a write-up that talks about what you saw in your output. Because in a real world situation, you are going to, you don't just run some code and throw the output over the fence at your boss and walk away. They don't want that. What your boss is going to want is he's going to want you to say, okay, what did you find? And then you say, okay, well, we were doing a bunch of insurance problems here. And I've noticed that people who drive drunk crash their cars more often. And the boss is going to go, wow, that's amazing. That was a great find. So you have to put some kind of a discussion in there that says that, what did you notice in the, what did you notice when you did your analysis? Does that make sense? Give me some findings, some recommendation, put some thought into this, apart from just here's the output and walking away. Put it in a little bit of a report like you were doing this for a boss. So that's really the two things. Give me some code and some output, and then give me some observations. And also if you did any bonus work, you must make it obvious, big giant letters with stars around it and say bonus work ahead. Something like that, so I can notice it. Does that make sense?
Yep, great. Thank you. Got it.
Okay, perfect. Whoop. Did we lose anybody?
So I kind of have a question about that. There was another class in our class that I had that we just added comments into our Python code to answer questions, to describe analysis. Can we do that instead of making two different PDFs?
I've had people do that before and I was okay with it. I would kind of, please put some thought into it though. I mean, don't, try to, again, think in terms of what I want to hand this into a boss. I understand that I'm not really your boss and this is just a classroom. So I'm willing to suspend disbelief a little bit but try to get in the habit of actually putting something together that is truly going to be consumable by a boss.
And Mario, I would just say as well, I think you got a great idea there. So kind of like, if you can make it look like I assume you're talking about 401 there.
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
class.
Yep.
And if you can kind of make it look like an R markdown document, kind of read a code block of just, proper, like a paragraph or two answering questions and things like that. That's great. Because sometimes what we'll run into in this class is a student answering a question, which is, doing the hashtag and then adding, one sentence, which really doesn't, answer the question, thoroughly enough to get full credit. So if you do something like that, I think that's great though.
Okay. Yeah. And I was thinking that because in the lecture, I saw that there was like 3 parentheses. So I thought that's where you wanted us to answer questions. Is that not true?
Parentheses, where are we
Yeah.
at? I'm not sure what you're talking about.
It was in the lecture. There was like, you kind of described like what 3 parentheses mean, or commas, or not commas. Like how you can put comments in right there for Python.
Oh yeah, you could put comments, but you put comments in for you usually put comments in for your own purpose. But if you want to write a bunch of stuff in a Jupyter notebook, you can do this. I mean, I'm not here to play gotcha with the students. My bigger goal here is for you to learn how to do machine learning, to get the output, and then
Sorry, that's my son.
That's okay, Mario. I used to have I got some funny stories about that when I was with customers and I had a 3-year-old daughter running in. So,
but thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm not here to play gotcha with students. So, does anyone else have any questions or?
Yeah, I had one final question, and my last question, well, I think it's my last question, is I'm a person who's new to this stuff, and I already can tell it's really fun from reading all the videos and trying some of the code. What would be your advice of how to pick through this stuff and how to attack it?
The best way to do it is follow the videos. I put this class together in a day-to-day life of Don Wedding building models for a customer. Okay, step 1 is I go and I explore the data and look for problems with it. Step number 2 is I fix the data. Step number 3, I build some very preliminary models using trees and random forests and gradient boosting. So it gives me an idea of what kind of accuracy I can expect. Then I go and figure out what variables are predictive and move on to regression. So if you're new to this, follow along, because I'm walking you down the path. I've had students come back to me and say, Don, I used your 422 stuff and I use it every day of my life in my job. And I use a lot of the code that I have here is stuff that I use every day. So this is what and again, I don't want you to think I have all the answers. I know a lot of this stuff because I've been doing it for 25 years, okay? But believe it or not, there's stuff that I do that's probably really crazy, and it's not, I probably make mistakes all the time and don't know it. Well, I definitely make mistakes and don't know it. But, this is just me trying to walk you through processes that I do. And the other thing is also listen to other instructors in this program, because there's other people in this program that look at this completely differently from me. Get a variety of viewpoints and figure out what works for you and what doesn't. But that's how I would tackle is just take my videos and start and just go in order. Does that make sense?
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Okay, let me show you. I found the code. I should have had this up before the class started. This is the last assignment that we do in this class. And this one is, we have pictures of dogs and cats. And let me see if I can show you what it looks like here. So they have a whole bunch of pictures of cats, and they've got here's a cat's in a cage, and this is I don't know, this cats sit next to stuffed animals. So these are a bunch of pictures of cats. And then we have something else, a bunch of pictures of dogs. This dog is, catching a Frisbee or whatever. And there's lots of pictures. And what happens is we're going to use a thing called a convolutional neural network that takes these pictures, digitizes them, and uses convolutional neural networks to say, is this a picture of a dog or a cat? This is a classical problem of machine learning and artificial intelligence. If you can do this, you can do a lot of stuff. In fact, I took a lot of similar code like this that did dog and cat, and I was working for a customer of mine, and we were trying to figure out, pictures of moles, like skin moles, whether or not they're carcinogenic moles or not. It's the same technique. Yes or no, is this guy got melanoma or is this just a benign mole? It's the same thing, dog, cat, mole, not mole, So this is a great problem, and we can, if you get far enough along in the class, we'll do this assignment. And I have it right here. I've loaded in this model. This is not the world's best model. I didn't try to make it perfect. I tried to just get a preliminary one, but this is like a picture of a dog here. Let's see if where he is. Yeah, so this is a dog. That's like a, I don't know, a German Shepherd, I think. So we take the dog and we can take it down to a 10 by 10 image. Then we do a few other things. And ultimately, we send it into our predictive model. Now, the model is, we train the model outside of here. I train the model in a whole bunch of other code, but the code, I save the code right here. Okay, the model's been saved, but I've trained this model, and then this model can take a German Shepherd and decide, yeah, that's a picture of a dog. And then if I put another picture in here, let's do this one and see what we get. And so that's a cat. That's Morris the cat. And you kids are too young to know who Morris is, but that's Morris. And let's see if we can get that one. And that's a cat. And he's 80% sure that's a cat. So this is something that we will do in this class, is build a neural network. Let me see if I actually can find the code for this. I think this is where I train the neural network, right? Here. Yeah, so this is all the code right here. Or this is where I'm training the neural network using TensorFlow. So this is where all the code that learns how to do this thing. And I walk you through how to write this code. And once you see how to do it, you're like, this isn't all that hard. but it's a pretty straightforward process, but you learn how to do that in this class, but you gotta keep pressing forward. So we're almost out of time here. Does anybody have any other questions? Because, and incidentally, I forgot to say, Logan once a
Yes.
quarter does a thing that's called like show and tell, and it's basically a TED talk. And halfway through the quarter, if you want to do a quick talk on any topic, you know, if it's data science related or business related or whatever, Logan does that around, you know, week 4 or 5, and he'll you can earn some bonus points and also learn some really great stuff. But anyways, does anybody have any other questions? I'll send out more information on Logan's thing later on. Logan, you're doing that this quarter, right?
Yes, I just had to think of that as well. Thank you for mentioning it. It's a good opportunity to really pad your grade there a little bit. Probably the end of January, early February. Put together a quick little 5-minute either presentation or a talk or a demonstration on something that you find interesting in the data science realm, or something that's happening in, you know, computer science or anything like that. We've had anybody present stuff from cybersecurity and up through new Python packages, or, you know, talking about, you know, different cloud environments and some of the things coming down the pipe. So we'll get some examples of what students have presented on in the past. But again, I'll send out a sign up sheet ahead of time. It's nice if you can go ahead and sign up beforehand, because it does get to be a pretty long list of folks, because I do like to come to it.
Perfectly voluntary. You don't have to do anything.
Yep. So even if you're not going to present something, you can come and watch as well. We do have a lot of students log on just to kind of watch and learn from each other as well.
Okay, anybody have any final questions, comments, thoughts? I mean, is anybody terrified at this point, or does it look pretty straightforward? Because it really is a straightforward class. Bailey Brown, talk to me.
No, yeah, I don't think it's terrifying. I think it should be pretty fun.
Well, that's what are you? Of course, you have to say it's going to be fun, but I'm just saying, do you have any questions? I didn't mean to put you on the spot, Bailey.
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay, let's see. Eric, any questions on the way out the door?
No questions here. Actually, I feel more relieved more than anything right now.
Well, that's a good feeling then. Okay. Hey, if anybody wants to stick around, we're going to have if you want to see what Predict 498, the capstone, is all about, you guys can come into there and sit in and just sort of watch, get a flavor for what that class is, because you'll all be taking that in a couple of quarters. So, you know, you can sit in there if you want. I think I sent out, did I send out the link to that? I think I did.
Yes, you did.
Okay, you're welcome if you want. If not, I'll see you in a couple of quarters. So if there's nobody else has any questions, I'm gonna end the meeting because I gotta launch the next one now.
Take care, everyone.
All right, thanks. Have a good night, guys.
Okay, be
Thank
good,
you.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Yep. Did you end the recording there, Don? Oh, sorry.
I will now.